What's going on, guys? Super excited to jump into this video talking to my buddy Trevor, who scaled his agency to 177,000 a month in just 10 months. That's cash collected. This isn't just contract value, that's real money in the bank, all right? And that's using this game-changing software called Upex. If you haven't heard about it yet, I've been using it for over a year since it first came out. I actually have a free course that shows you how to use this exact business model that Trevor's going to show you here. I'm just not at $177,000 a month just yet. So enjoy the interview. I'll drop the link to the course. It's in my school group. It'll give you everything you need to get started with this model. And I'm excited because a lot of SMMA gurus out there are talk crap on Upex and how it's a waste of time and it's a waste of money. So here's to proving them wrong, and enjoy the interview. We got Trevor here, my man. Fill us in with where you're at with your agency and a little bit about your model and all that. And then kind of we'll dive into where you started and how that took off.
Yeah, man. So over the last it's been about 10 months now. So back in November, November is whenever we switched. So we were a traditional SMMA. We were doing more of that high ticket, $1,500, $2,000 type SMMA. We came across Upex, and then with Upex, we completely shifted our model in November to more of a DIY. So we lower ticket but mass scale, and so we were able to take that from nothing back then to this past month in August we closed out at 177,000.
Yeah, no big deal. 177K cash collect.
Yes,
That's not
sir.
collection. That's not just the hype numbers. That's the in the bank.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna have to dive in there. But I guess my first question is really, what made you want to switch from the traditional SMMA, standard retainer model, to doing this DIY stuff?
Yeah, I think one part was just a desire to not do that. Honestly, like just having the higher ticket felt like a lot more work and stress and things like that. But I think the bigger thing for us was opportunity, and just like from the get-go, like I really believed in the Upex. Actually, I'll take that back. I came across Upex 6 months prior to that, and I didn't really think much of it. But as I started thinking more about, okay, how could this be used? How can we use it in our agency? We started using it internally to just like launch ads, because I think Upex is one of those things. It's like, use it regardless. Like if you're going to use it to just launch ads, do that because it's efficient. Or if you're going to use it as a model, do that as well. But after 6 months, it was like I just saw this opportunity that no one else is doing this yet. No one had done it at scale. People had started kind of playing with it, but no one had like really taken it serious and like grew it and went all in. And so when I saw that, I was like, okay, what do we have to lose? Like we can always go back to doing our retainer model, but let's see if this just kind of new idea and new way of doing it has any legs to it.
Nice. Yeah. So on the YouTube here, there's a lot of SMMA guys that talk shit on Upex, which is funny. They're just like, oh,
I mean, I
no,
would too if I made my money from that.
yeah, right. And they're like, oh, nobody wants software. Like, that's not sellable. Like, people don't want another thing to do. They just want you to get them results. So what would you say to that when someone says out of that line of thinking?
Yeah, I think there's truth. And I think there's two types of people. And I think that's why, like for us, is like at first we really believed in just going all in on this. As we've scaled, we have added more of like, okay, you actually want to be hands off. But I think being a small business owner before and knowing like what goes into that, the costs that go into that, it's easier for somebody to come in and pay $597 a month or $497 a month, whatever you're charging for this service. They don't need everything else because they have time, because you either have time or money, right? And they, at that time, in a lot of people's businesses, they have more time. And so give them the tools to be successful, but let them go out and run with those tools and win with them. And then on the other side is like somebody's doing 50K a month out of their business already, then take that off their hands and knock it out. But I don't believe that everyone just wants that. I mean, I've seen it. We've grown this in our business. Like not everyone just wants you to handhold them and do everything for them. Some people are willing to pay less, do a little bit more so that they have access to the things that they need access to grow their business.
100%. No, I agree, man. I mean, why not capture the best of both worlds? And like you guys said, you didn't add on the done for you till later, till people started asking you for it too, right? That's kind of how
Yeah.
it went.
Yeah. So we just got enough. We had always been asked about it, but we were getting enough people asked. It was like, okay, we'll add in, because we had to add staff to do that, to make sure that they're handling those accounts the way they needed to be handled as more of a done for you side of things. So once we were like, okay, we're going to get a good amount of revenue come from this, and it was worth hiring and building that process out.
Sense. Yeah, we started as a done for you, and then just bolted on Upex, and it was a seamless transition. It's like, yeah, we noticed so many people, in the gym niche, they're not trying to spend $1,500 a month, especially when their product is $150 a month. Now,
Yeah.
sometimes you can do challenges, make a little more money up front or whatnot, but yeah, it's a solid offer. So yeah, tell me more about your offer, like price point, how you guys pitch it. Sure, that'll be helpful for people to
Yeah. So
understand.
I mean, there's nothing like secret about the way that we do things. Like, it's just, I would say that for us, the reason why we've been successful is because we just execute extremely well. But for us, it's literally an ad to a demo. A demo, I say demo in quotations. We say demo because it's a software, so people expect to see a software. So it just fits what somebody's looking for a little bit better. But whenever we get to the demo, we actually treat it more as a traditional sales consultation, like digging into the pain points, figuring out what they've tried in the past. Mostly everybody's gotten screwed by an agency or at some point, which is really good ammunition to come back to on the back end, and just discover how are we going to close this person. Then at the end, we'll show the software for probably less than a minute. Just like, this is how easy it is to launch an ad, 3 clicks, boom, 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 show it to them. And then we go into the pitch side of $14.97 a month if they want to do quarterly, and then $5.97 a month if they want to do monthly. We typically anchor the $14.97 though, because from a customer acquisition cost, like, we want to be profitable on acquisition, and that's the way that we've been able to scale so fast, is because we can spend enough on ads to keep scaling, because we're getting the cash up front that we need to do that. So that's kind of the flow of how we've been able to. We have obviously we have BDRs, we have people calling, booking appointments, taking people off calendars, all of that stuff. But the flow itself looks a lot like that.
Nice. So you guys are spending how much per day, usually on ads?
Yeah, so anywhere from 5 to 700. We've hit a little bit of a plateau with our niche as far as how much we can spend, which is why we've dug more into like, how do we just increase revenue per client. We're still signing on, I mean, 40, 50 people a month. It's just not, we were signing up like 100 people a month, right? Like 80 to 90. And so we're just figuring that. And then also something about the UpX model is like, I do not recommend, so I'm going to caveat this, I do not recommend starting with like 10 different niches. But if you have niches that are similar, UpX gives you a lot better ability to be in 2 niches, 3 niches than any other model does, because you're streamlining a lot of the process that it takes to be in multiple niches. And then price point wise is, when somebody's paying you $2,000, traditional SMMA, like if you've been on a course before, you're going to get somebody to pay you 1,500. You're going to come out with all the content about how they should nurture their leads. You're going to give them courses on how to sell. You're going to do all of those things. And that's how you're justifying the 1,500 a month. But you don't have to justify paying $500 a month. And so whenever you don't have to have all of those different things. We've done it over time. One, really just because we love consulting and coaching. But you don't need to have all those things to justify it, which allows you to go, you don't have to be the niche expert necessarily to be in that. I do recommend, again, if you're just starting, please do not go to 10 different niches. But when you get to scale, it gives us more flexibility to say, hey, I want to go in something that's very similar. Like, we're in med spa, maybe we go to chiropractors, maybe we go to gyms, like maybe we go to something that's very similar to what we're already doing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree, man. That's kind of the same line of thinking I've been able to do with the gyms. And then it's 497, 390, whatever you charge. I always enjoy the ads piece. So it's like, I didn't want to do all of the coaching and be the guru for that niche. So it really helps you, if that's just what you want to focus on. You can focus on it, make it simple. So yeah, the niche thing, everyone always talks about niching and not niching. I know some of the go high level SaaS people, you don't need to niche. You can just reach everybody. What's your reasoning and advice for people, like why they should, with this model, should niche?
Yeah.
But
With this one also, like specifically, I think to be really good at anything, you have to have some type of laser focus on it. And so for us, it's like, we're creating ads for our clients and a templated version. And when you get to 200 plus clients, like you start having clients in the same city, like all those different, like you need to be able to create really good ads at scale on a consistent basis. And if you're having to do that for even like being in like a Mets ball niche where they have 5 different offers, like they don't just, it's not like a gym where it's like they have a membership or they have a 6-week challenge or whatever the case is. Like they have a ton of different things. It's hard to manage and like keep up with really good content for them to generate new leads versus if you are in multiple niches and you have 10, then it's like, okay, how are you going to create ads for realtors and insurance agents and Mets balls and like everything else? So I just think it's also a focus standpoint of like running ads to a niche, in my opinion, is easier because you can speak to their pain points. You can know them better. I don't see, this is kind of, this is kind of hot take, but for me is like, I think it's silly when people say I own a SaaS company and they're like white labeling high level, not because
Right.
they are like, there's an element of you that is SaaS, but you're not like, you don't have millions of dollars in like VC funding that is like building this entire team. So it's like your advantage is that you get to pick a skill that you can be really good at, couple that with high level, and then now you're selling almost like software and like a little bit of a hands-on service, not as a service. So I think it's kind of a mending of the two versus a traditional SaaS. So I just think, especially in this model, it's important to niche so that you can actually identify and then help the clientele that you're serving. I think again, you can have a little bit more freedom than you used to be able to have when you're selling $10,000 courses on Mets ball or on gym owners. Like that you have to be niched. But I still encourage having a relative niche.
Yeah, I mean, you can't scale when you're having to create all the snapshots and workflows. All the little things add up when you have when you're onboarding, like you guys are doing 80 a month or something. Like, yeah, you can't.
Yeah. And I think the reason people, because I've been this, it's not like, I mean, before this, like we had trial and error in the agency. Like it's not like I was running this huge agency and this is like an easy thing. This is a little bit of luck mixed with a lot of like hard work. But
Yeah.
the the thing that I think people get stuck up on is that like there's not enough people in my niche. So like how am I ever going to be 200, 300,000? Like let that be a problem. Like for us, like we are in a small, like go look up Mets balls in the US. There's like 9,000 of them. And we've been able to get to 175,000 a month by doing just that niche. So it's like, okay, if we can do that here, I promise your niche is not saturated or whatever. Figure out the problem when it gets there. Like once you figure like you've served a lot of the people, yeah, you feel like you're really at that end, then go into another niche, but don't start by rapid firing because you legitimately don't need to. There's too many businesses to serve that it only makes sense to niche.
Oh, I laugh because that's held me back so much of just like that belief of, oh man, it's just gyms are too saturated. I should just try something else. And what really the reality was, one, that's not true. And that just didn't serve me. And that just held me back from actually trying to find solutions
Yeah.
or growing my business. And just recently, when you know what the epiphany I came to is, at least the problem I realized it wasn't the niche, it was just the ads, the offer. Like I just didn't have a good acquisition process to like generate leads from ads to get the cost per booked call at an efficient rate. And that was the problem. It wasn't the niche. So
Yeah,
mindset's kind of important.
for
So
sure.
tell me more about the intangible, like the beliefs. A lot of people talk about going from 6 to 7 figures. You change as a person, like a 6 figure person can't handle, you have to become like a 7 figure person, like your beliefs. How has that changed for you over the last year? Like, what are some of the main things or beliefs or ways of perspectives that have shifted for you, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just trust in people. I think for a long time is like I feel like I had to do everything myself because I was the best at it. In my mind, I was the best at something. So I was like, how am I going to get somebody else to come in and do this? And I literally just had a conversation with my first employee ever in this agency. And I hired her part-time. She was doing BDR work, like things like that. But she's grown into she's like one of our top leaders in our company. She's amazing. And what I learned from her though, I think I had been burnt when I owned a gym. Like no like hard feelings, but like but sometimes personal trainers are not the best employees, or like they just don't operate well as employees. They don't do their job extremely well. They train really well, but maybe they don't do all the other stuff well. So I had this fear, and she came in and like she started moving the needle, and I was like, dang. Like now she came up with some ideas on like how do we grow? And I'm like, dang. And then I just started getting this like belief, like, man, other people not only can they do it the same as me, they can actually do it better because their attention is focused on that one thing. And so for us, it's like leveling up with people and figuring out how do we put people in place. I think I said this off kind of off this, but it was like we were willing to take a smaller profit margin to have the right people than we were to like hoard all of our profits so that we could take home more. And it has served us extremely well because we've been able to grow faster than a lot. I think, I mean, it's fast, like 0 to 175,000 a month in 10 months is extremely quickly. But it's literally because of the people that we've been able to hire. So I think that's the biggest like belief breaking for me is not only find good people, we all know that, but trust them and then like empower them to get better and better. And if you can do that, like you're gonna win.
Love it. Shifting from trying to do it all yourself to growing a team, trusting the people.
Yeah,
That's trust issues seems to be huge for us entrepreneurs.
yeah,
Letting
for
go,
sure.
letting go of the pie or whatever, letting go of a
Yeah.
bigger in order to
And
grow faster.
and you'll definitely have your things. Like you'll have people that come in and they are not good employees, but that doesn't mean like you've heard so I forgot who said it, but they're like if you gave up on your first date, like you would never get married. It's the same thing. Like just because you have one bad employee experience doesn't mean all employees are bad. It's just like you got to keep looking. I will say like in this an environment that we live in, finding really good employees is pretty hard. We've got a lot of our employees through referrals versus like traditional Indeed stuff like that. Literally me posting on my Instagram and Facebook, like, hey, who's looking for, and we're favorable. Like you make okay money, you get to work from home. Like it's pretty chill. Like there's not a ton of, you don't have to come into office every day. So like people do want to work for companies like ours, even if they're not making the huge salaries that they could be making at bigger organizations. So leveraging that in culture has served us well because our culture is really good. Like I genuinely believe at least 80% of our employees enjoy what they do every day. So that helps.
That's huge. Well, I know you got to run. Last two questions. One's like maybe you should give us a snapshot of your team that you currently have to make up what you guys are doing to in order to get to that 177. And then just last any kind of parting advice for people.
Yeah.
Very general.
Yeah. No, the team wise, we are 28, 28 or 29, counting me. Some like international contractors involved in that, probably like 6 to 8 of those. I'm not 100% sure on the numbers, but we have 4 direct. So we have directors over every big pieces: director of marketing, director of sales, director of customer support, and then director of product. I think that's everything. And then we have a team under them to support them, which kind of goes into the people thing. Is like those directors cost more than you probably want to pay, but it doesn't matter because you're able to scale a lot further with them. And then the belief system for me is like just like fail fast and then keep going. And with that, don't make excuses along the way. So kind of learn from those failures. I think for us is like we got so stuck in the ways that we are going to do it. This traditional SMMA model, like this is the way that we're going to go. This is what all the people teach about. So like this is how we're going to stick into it, out of the fear of like, okay, if we go into this new model that not a ton of people have heard of and still don't know about, like what's going to happen from that. And I was like, okay, I'm willing to like step into that fear to see what happens. And doing that created a lot of opportunity for us. So if you have like an urge or desire to do something, just like go into it fearless. And then if you fail, like cool, we would have just went like, that's what I always say is like, what's the worst that could ever happen? It falls on its face and I go back to doing what I was doing and like figuring it out. It's really not that bad. So that'd be my kind of parting advice for people.
Well, it's good to identify the fear instead of it just lingering in your mind, controlling you. It's like, all right, well, what's the actual worst case scenario?
Yeah, it ain't that
Not bad.
bad.
That ain't that bad. Ain't that bad, man. Hey, well, appreciate you, man. I know you're going to be doing some consulting stuff here coming up. So people just find you, I think you said your Facebook. I could drop the link
Yeah,
Hit you.
just drop that link below and feel free to message me, and then we'll add a link once we have more details on it for anybody that wants to check it out.
Sweet.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, bro.